Hello and welcome to Tommy Surfs. I'm Tommy and this video is going to be about my journey in learning how to do an air reverse. Now, I've never pulled an air reverse, so this isn't a historical video about the steps I took, but rather the things I noticed and am taking to try to learn it. So hopefully, if you're at the same kind of stage and level as me, you can also learn from this video and learn how to air reverse, and we can learn it together. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is speed. Speed is very helpful. So the more speed you get, the easier the launch is. Now with proper technique, I believe speed isn't as important. Just depends on how big an air you want to pull. From a intermediate lower and advanced person's perspective, the more speed you have, the less effort you're going to have at least the liftoff portion. So here you'll see Kaloe, and he doesn't have a lot of speed, but he still gets that projection and pop, and it has to do with technique. Which brings us to step 2, which is bottom turn. You want to do a shallow mid-face bottom turn. I just noticed my cat in the back. Please excuse the R-rated events going on in the background. So yeah, you want to do a shallow bottom turn, which helps actually with 1, maintaining your speed, and 2, allows you to project outwards when it's time to do that air. So the next step, we're going to call it the launch, but it's actually the next 3 steps is part of the launch, but this one is as you approach and you connect with a lip. You'll notice that anyone that does airs goes through this exact process. Their front leg is completely straight and their back leg is bent. And what that is doing is you're allowing your back leg to compress to then lead to the following step, which is extending that back leg. So now here's some examples of quite a few pros doing the exact same thing. Like I said, front leg completely straight, back leg bent. Again, you're just getting ready for that extension. So now during these next 3 launch steps, you'll notice the front leg straight, but it's also when the upper body starts to rotate. So it is happening very quickly. So you got to make sure that you're not counting down. You got to build this muscle memory in as quick as possible. So step 4 is something as part of the launch. How we get about that is important because I think this is something that doesn't get mentioned in a lot of the other how-to videos, and that's heel. Okay? If you pause any front side air reverse, there's something you'll notice, or maybe you don't notice, and it's their back leg, okay, their back foot is completely on heel. All right, and what that does is it allows the surfer, as they're about to project, to be on their outside edge, okay? It allows for the board to disengage and actually help with the rotation. And so the next step is, as you're extending that back leg, you're going to be retracting your front leg. So bring your knee to your chest. Now again, all this is happening very quickly, so don't count down. It's literally within milliseconds and almost feels like it's happening at the same time. After the knees to chest, a super important part, and that is you're wanting to spot your landing. Okay, and I used to think of it that way, spotting your landing, but I think what's more important is by looking at where you're going to land. It's actually what they say, your body goes where your head goes, and then your legs will go where your body goes. So I notice with different surfers, this timing happens at different, places in the steps I've outlined. With Kalohe, he looks like he's spotting his landing as his board's about to connect with a wave. So that straight leg step, okay? In fact, he kind of puts his chin to his shoulder to get that body rotation going. Other surfers, they do it a little bit later, but just think of it that way. You're actually starting your rotation, spot your landing, okay? Now I think is the most important part of pulling an air, and that's commitment. So I know exactly where my two failures are, and this is one of them. My commitment is lacking. And the reason why is because in the past, I've broken my leg twice surfing. Both times, my right leg. One time so bad that it broke the tibia and fibula, completely separated, and my foot was just dangling. And so there's a little trauma there where it's hard for me to get over and commit to that landing, especially when I'm projecting out to the flats. So I almost feel like I sabotage myself a lot. Anyways, that is a very super important part. Once you go through all these steps, you got to have the commitment to land it. So the first one for me is actually my rotation. If you look at my footage, you'll notice that I never commit my head or my shoulders to that rotation. I'm never facing the shore, the beach. And if you look at any pros that's doing an air reverse or a full rotation, they're really committed to that early on in the process. So that's pretty much it, guys. To recap, let's think about the steps here. Number one, speed. Speed is helpful, but not always necessary. Number two, shallow bottom turn. Number three, as you're connecting, front leg straight, get that back leg compressed and ready to go. Oh, one thing I should mention about the bottom turn, get super low and compressed, okay? The next step after that would be the heel. Remember, you got to get on that backside edge, your heel side edge, and push with your heel, okay? Beyond the heel. And in fact, it happens so quickly, I don't always think about it, but the 3 times I was able to concentrate on that, I've actually rotated. So that heel is super important. In fact, one time I actually landed it, I just couldn't ride out of it. So that was the closest I've ever gotten. But anyways, heel, okay? Next part is bring your knees to your chest. Get that knee to your chest as tight as possible as you're pushing out that back leg. And again, spot that landing, okay? That rotation is super important. So spotting that landing early, I think, is the key. And that's what I'm going to focus on in my next step. And then the last part of it is commitment. You got to be committed. Break your leg, land on your board, get cut, whatever the case. If you really want to pull the air, you got to commit. And so I'm 52 years old. I don't think I have much time left, at least not for progressing. So my goal is to pull this air reverse in the next 2 years. All right. So hopefully the next video I have out, I'll be a little bit closer and I'll outline and kind of showcase exactly what I'm doing wrong and to help myself improve, hopefully help you improve. All right. Hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe. It'll help get it in front of more people, more opportunities for it to be seen. All right, guys. Till the next one. And hopefully it'll be the mashup review.